Hi there, Lloyd Machedo. Speaking to you from lloydmachedo.com. Who's Lloyd Machedo? Think Personal Branding. All right, I want to read out this article by bbc.com. It says, Narendra Modi, why is the Indian Prime Minister's photo on my COVID vaccine certificate? Okay, I'll read out bits of this article, and I want you to give me your thoughts, and I'll also give you mine. Okay? So it seems a court in the southern Indian state of Kerala is due to hear a petition next week from an unhappy citizen who does not want Prime Minister Narendra Modi's photograph on his COVID vaccine certificate. Apparently, Keralites don't like the BJP party very much, and plenty of Keralites do not like Narendra Modi. And yes, the BJP, I've spoken to BJP supporters, they don't like Keralites very much. So there's always this tension between both. Okay, North Indians and South Indians, if you actually look at it. I know so many, some of their comments. In fact, I've even had members in my groups, WhatsApp groups, where North Indians always look down on South Indians, and South Indians don't like that very much. And well, eventually, I have groups where there are investors and all that, and you get these nut jobs who support their political parties, whatever. They come and start making fun of my clients, and I have to boot them out because they just don't have the common sense sometimes. Anyway, so it's both the ways. I'm not saying only one side. Okay. So this man known as Peter M wants a certificate without Modi's picture because it says it violates my fundamental rights. Peter M, a 62-year-old information activist and a member of India's main opposition Congress party. Okay, so there's a little bit of tension here between Congress and BJP. Peter M, his name sounds Christian. So he doesn't want Modi's picture. Now, if you ask me, if it was me, you get anyone's picture on any certificate, for me personally, I don't give a damn. You can have Superman, Spider-Man, Modi, the king of any country. For me, I don't have a problem. I just stick to what what matters to me. So, however, in this case, I guess mainly because he is of the opposition party and he's an activist, I guess he has reason not to want, a party. In fact, I would even tell you, if tomorrow Congress was in power and they would have Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi's photograph, I'm sure the BJP also wouldn't like that very much. Okay, so it's both the ways. Okay. So, and one other thing is, India is a democracy. India is not it doesn't have a monarch or king. So why do we have one person's photograph? In fact, why don't you have the president's photograph? Why don't you have Mahatma Gandhi's photograph? Why don't you have the Indian flag? So it moves the focus from the greater good of the country to one human being, which is not right, and one political party. Why don't you have all the political parties? Then that would be fair. But here you have, one guy. By putting his picture on my certificate, he is intruding into the private space of citizens, which is true. I have someone else's picture on your certificate. It doesn't make sense, right? It's unconstitutional, and I'm requesting the Honorable Prime Minister to stop this wrong and shameful act immediately, Mr. Peter told the BBC on the phone from his home in Kottayam district. See, for those people who are saying, oh, Prime Minister Modi is, our leader, he is a public servant. Correct me if I'm wrong. A Prime Minister or President or government official is a public servant. He's meant to serve the public. So he should put the public interest first. He should put other people, not him. That's what I believe. I mean, if you say that you are there to serve people, then you should have them. Their interests, right? Not your own. Anyway, it's inappropriate in a democracy and absolutely of no use to nation or individual, which is very true. I'm being very fair. Whether it's Congress, whether it's anybody, communist or anybody, it doesn't serve any interest. It's only promoting a political party and individual. And remember, I'm not supporting BJP or Congress. I'm only supporting the fact that India is a democracy. Okay, you can tell me where I'm wrong. Please feel free. Put in the comment section below. In fact, I'm pretty sure if we had put Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi's photo, you wouldn't like that very much. In fact, if Prime Minister Imran Khan would do that on his stationery or anything. You would make fun. Then why is this okay? Besides the personal details of the individuals, the vaccine certificate issued by the Indian Health Minister carry Modi's photograph along with two messages in English and local languages. Mr. Modi is not our first Prime Minister, and this is not India's first vaccination program. But the campaign against COVID and vaccine program are being projected as a one-man show, a propaganda tool for the minister, which I have to agree makes sense. Peter M., since riled against, since he had to pay for his own jab in a private hospital, there were long queues for appointments at government hospitals, giving out free vaccines. I paid 750 rupees, that is $10 or £7 for each jab. So why should Modi's photo be on my certificate? Again, he is making sense. He has valid points. Good. I think he must be a lawyer. The Kerala High Court has given the federal and state governments 2 weeks to respond. I reached out to other spokesperson of Mr. Modi's BJP party, but they declined to comment. Okay. This is funny. Okay. The Prime Minister's photograph on the vaccine certificate has also been criticized by his political rivals. A few opposition ruled states have replaced his photo with the pictures of their own chief ministers, which is a good idea. Keep putting photographs of your own elected ministers. It'll make more sense. Okay. Then, if we look at it that way, then why don't we have Muslims put photograph of their religious, dogmas? Hindus put Hindu photographs. Christian put photograph of Jesus. They will value that much more, right? Where do we end this? Senior Congress party Priyanka Gandhi Vadra accused Modi of using vaccines for personal publicity. All politicians do that, which Modi is. Yeah, he's also doing it. Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, said that he should put his picture on a death certificate also, which is a very valid point. I mean, if you're putting on vaccine, put it on death certificates also. But why not doing that? Because it looks bad, right? You know I know that. Okay. Suppose I'm not your supporter. I don't like you, but I must carry this. Why? Where is the freedom of the people? She asked at the press conference. Valid point. BJP supporters, please answer. Please, down below. I'm waiting. And if you don't have an answer, then you made your photo compulsory on COVID certificates. Now put it on death certificates also, she added. Mamataji, salute. You gave a good point. You can tell me if what she's saying is wrong. Maybe that's why they are voting for her. The photograph also caused confusion for Indians traveling abroad. Vice News recently reported that immigration officers who are not familiar with Modi's face, really, they didn't know, okay, had accused some travelers of fraud. Peter M. is worried if left unchecked, Modi will start putting his picture in school and college leaving certificates for our children. Which is very valid. It's a valid point. His concern is rooted in the fact that Modi's photo sometimes pops up in places where it's not meant to be. Recently, a government advertisement with Prime Minister's image was dropped from the official court emails after objections from the Supreme Court. So Modi and BJP is having a tough time. See, I know that it's not Modi's idea. It's his party, BJP, because they want to garner more Hindu supporters. And Hindus and BJP, they literally worship their politicians. In fact, I have even seen photographs of Modi's image. They are worshipping like a god. They're actually worshipping him like a god. So I don't blame them. This is typical Indian mentality, and especially from the village. I'm not saying all Indians, but the uneducated and the superstitious and the religious, they worship film actors and all this as gods, For them, that is a god. The Prime Minister's love for being photographed and taking selfies is well known. Which is true. Modi loves to be photographed. Even a construction site, that photograph where he is like tall. I was imagining like a photographer must have really fallen on the ground to take a photograph up. He has a huge following on social media, and his rallies are always attended by tens of thousands of people across the country because he's like a hero figure for them. His supporters, obviously, will support him and say there's nothing wrong in displaying the Prime Minister's photo on a vaccine certificate, as he is one of the most recognizable faces in the country. Well, then why don't we have Mahatma Gandhi? He is even more recognized. Mr. Modi's bearded face looks down on billboards and street hoardings. He smiles in full-page advertisements and websites And government ministers have to carry the advertisement with his photo, which is very true. In Dubai, they had one minister who was going to visit the Indian pavilion. You can actually see it. But they've not put the minister's photo. They have put Prime Minister Modi's photo, which is so funny. Like they're saying that this guy is visiting, let's say, for example, Arun Shekhar is visiting the pavilion. Instead of having Arun Shekhar's face, they have Modi's face. It's like having a resume. I have a resume. I'm not putting my photograph on my resume. I'm putting Prime Minister Modi's photograph on my resume. Or having a passport that this is Loy Machedo's passport and having Modi's. Why? So where do we stop? I mean, in fact, then they'll have wedding cards. Loy marries Nit Nipa, and I'm putting Modi's photograph with my wife's. I mean, where do you stop, man? Critics in India say that there's never been short of leaders who self-indulge in self-glorification. In the past, BJP has criticized the government party. BJP criticized the Congress party led by Gandhi-Nehru dynasty for naming hundreds of airports and universities and awards and welfare schemes after their family members, which is very true. So you see, it's not just BJP, it's Congress. Both of them keep doing. So whoever is in power will glorify their own people. Mayawati, Dalit icon and former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, is famous for building statues of herself and being accused of engaging in a cult personality. Very common in India. Indians, especially the majority who are poor and uneducated, need gods and need heroes. Jairam Jayalalitha, that fatty, that fat Chief Minister of India, put her name on cheap food. Cheap food, canteens, pharmacies, and salt packets. Maybe that's why she's so fat. She died. Okay. But Mr. Modi takes his self-obsession to another level, says, Nila Nanj Mukho Pandya, a journalist and Mr. Modi's biographer. He is a member of RSS, Hindu nationalist organization, Rashtriya Savaya Sevak Sangh, which preaches the organization is bigger than the individual, but under him, the individual has become more important than organization. I don't know, RSS seems to be an extremist organization. That's as far as I've heard. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems RSS is pro-Hindu and pro-extremist. Okay, if you hear him speak, he doesn't say our government. It always says my government or Modi's government, which is true. The BJP government, they say. In public utterances, there's a lot of I, me, my, myself. In February, he even renamed a stadium after himself. Talk about humility. Mr. Mukho Pandya says Mr. Modi has used the pandemic as a great opportunity to promote his cult. Very common in India with the politicians. Since the vaccine is the only protection available against COVID-19, by putting his photo on the certificate, he wants to be seen as people's savior. Mr. M said, he wants to be seen as a human face for divinity so he can earn people's trust and faith and then translate into votes for him, which is very true. Smart strategy. Branding 101. Image guru Dilip Cherian says the Prime Minister's photo on the vaccine certificate is a blurring the lines between what is appropriate from the party point of view and what is normative for the government point of view. The certificates are being weaponized to win votes, which they say makes sense. The emphasis seems to be on electoral gains as many vehicles as possible, be it vaccine, certificate, documents, or government schemes to carry the message. Face familiarity is a major plus, Mr. Cherian says, as because people today identify the party and it has merged with the individual. Putting his picture there is a precision strike aimed at individual voters. See, because remember this much, instead of an object like a lotus or a hand, we identify faces. So this is a very smart strategy. It's called more like a brand recall in branding. Peter M says that is where the problem lies with having Mr. Modi's face on his vaccine certificate. He's a politician who represents a party. He fights elections and gives him an undue advantage over his rivals. And this has to stop. So anyway, I thought I'd read out this article from BBC World. I'm very sure the BJP supporters will say, this is a leftist. This is sponsored by pro-Islamists. This is Congress. This is cabal. This is the Western agenda. Anyway, apart from that, let me know if what this is mentioned is true or false. I really would be open to your ideas and suggestions. Anyway, I always like to hear and read your comments. BJP supporters, do you have an answer to this? Yes or no? I look forward to reading what you have to say. This is me signing off. You guys take care.